With week 1 in the books and week 2 around the corner, George and I are talking futures today, and we take a look at the AFC West division and tell you why right now is the best time to enter the market. That and more on today's show. What's going on, friends? Welcome back to Forward Progress, powered by Pinnacle here on the Hammer Betting Network. Before we get started today, we have a great show for you, but I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor over at Pinnacle. Pinnacle is the world's sharpest sportsbook, offering competitive odds for 25 years. We preach line shopping on this channel, and with everyday competitive odds, Pinnacle should be a part of your available sports books. If you're looking to support the show, make sure you use code HAMMER when signing up to Pinnacle. It helps us out. So your trusted sports book for 25 years. Bet smart. Bet Pinnacle. Must be 19 plus in Ontario. Please play responsibly and not available in the U.S. Am I ever excited for today's show? Because today I'm joined alongside the great George Tsilfidis, and I have been his producer on a couple episodes. I've never been on screen with him before, and I'm very excited to do this. So, George, we're talking a bit about the Kansas City Chiefs today, and you want to make a bet on them, right? Entering into this year, we did a division preview video for the AFC West, right? And the lines were as follows to win the division. KC minus 190, Chargers plus 280, Broncos plus 641, and the Raiders plus 1265. Right now, the Chiefs are sitting at minus 155, Chargers plus 252, the Broncos plus 824, and the Raiders plus 936. You told me you want to bet on the Chiefs. So tell me, after watching week 1 and the atrocity that was their wide receiving corps, what is making you want to bet on these Kansas City Chiefs right now? Why is it the right time to bet on the Chiefs?
All right, before we do that, let's talk about what happened and where the markets went. So around the time we recorded the AFC West market division market and who we want to bet, I gave the Chiefs like just under a 70% chance of winning the division. It was a little bit thin at that price of minus 190 with an implied probability of like 66%. I wasn't quite interested at that price. It was a little too thin. I've since downgraded KC ever so slightly, but now at minus 155, they have an implied probability of winning the division 61% of the time. So let's talk about what we saw. Denver, the Chargers, and the Chiefs all lost the game they were supposed to win, and the Raiders won a game they were supposed to lose. When I think of Denver long term, I am now convinced that even if Sean Payton gets a better version out of Russell Wilson, and even if Jerry Jeudy comes back and gives an element to this offense, they are not good enough to win a division with two elite quarterbacks. Frankly, I had worries about their defense. I questioned their depth after the great Pat Surtain at corner, and I questioned their pass rush, and that might change when Baron Browning gets healthy. But this isn't the same defense that I believed was a clear-cut top 5 defense last year. The Raiders, I thought they did some good things in the pass game. They still have flaws at the O-line. They still have flaws defensively. And frankly, they still have Jimmy G at quarterback who's capable. And they might be better, and their floor might be higher than people thought. But I still believe they have a limited ceiling. So it comes down to two teams for me, the Chiefs and the Chargers. And what I saw from the Chiefs, and sure, they were the bigger favorite and should have won. However, the line came down because, they were missing Travis Kelce. They were missing Chris Jones. That stuff seems to have sorted itself out. I thought the Chiefs still were the better team. The Lions had really one good offensive drive, and a lot of it was stalling out. And it came down to some key receiver drops. So there was a lot of bad luck factors into the Chiefs' loss. What I saw with the Chargers' loss was an issue that I had before the season, and it kind of got confirmed. I questioned their secondary and how it would hold up against elite passing attacks, and it got confirmed for me. When the Dolphins carve you up for 466 through the air, I questioned, how are you going to stop the Bengals and the Bills and the Chiefs when it matters most? So I came out of it, even though the Chiefs lost and the Chargers lost and the Broncos lost. My biggest takeaway was the Chargers are still too far away from the Chiefs to win the division. And at minus 155 implied probability at 61%, I'm showing value there.
I like
There's
that.
another reason why now is the time to do it.
So you said there's another reason. Do you want to get into that quickly, or?
Yes. One thing that I talk about with future markets is entry points. It's you look at the schedule in front of you, and if it's a good time to get in now or wait a little bit. So the Chiefs next 6 weeks look like this. They're at the Jaguars. They're home to the Bears. They're at the Jets. They're at the Vikings. They're home to Denver. They're home to the Chargers. And the toughest games there, like the Jets was a tough game, but they've lost Aaron Rodgers now. And the toughest games there are, home to the Chargers, home to Denver, at Jacksonville. So 2 out of the 3, they're at home, and it's an advantageous situation. They could be looking at a 5-1 stretch, if not 6-0. And all of a sudden you're looking at a team that's, 6-2 or 6-1 or 5-2 at that point. How about the Chargers stretch of games? They got at the Titans, at the Vikings, home to the Raiders, home versus the Cowboys, at the Chiefs. That's frankly a brutal stretch. Could easily be looking at a 2-3, 3-2 run. The next 5 weeks for the Raiders, they're at the Bills versus the Steelers, at the Chargers versus the Packers versus the Patriots. Another brutal stretch, and you could be looking at 1-4, maybe 2-3. And the next 5 weeks for the Broncos, they're versus the Commanders, they're at the Dolphins, at the Bears, versus the Jets, at the Chiefs. Looking at 2-3, maybe 3-2. The reality is we could get to week 7. The Chiefs could have a 2+ game lead in the division, firmly in the lead with wins for tiebreaker against common opponents. Then the price could be as long as -300 in North, maybe -350. That's why right now it's time to hit the button at -155.
Yeah, and I like that you talked about here the timing of the market, because we actually preached that a lot of that earlier in the season. Sorry, not in the season, but in the preseason when we were talking about a team like the New York Jets. When you mentioned that, made me think of the Jets. Now it's a different story, no Aaron Rodgers, but the New York Jets had like 5 strong games to start their season, and a lot of people were saying, "Listen, if you like the Jets, wait on them, right? Wait on them, and wait until after they've gone through this sort of gauntlet of games, because then 1, you get to see how they are, how they play." And then 2, you'll have a much better entry point. Now, obviously, it's a good thing that we waited on that because, hey, they don't have Aaron Rodgers. Things are looking a little different now. But I like exactly what you said here with the Kansas City Chiefs because, like you said, that schedule is monstrous for the rest of the division. Very, very cushy for the Chiefs. We could be sitting here, like you said, 2 games up. And I mean, hey, I know what I'm doing right after I get off air with you. So, I mean, are you concerned at all, though, about the receiver drops? I talked to Eric Eager about this. He said it's not too concerning. I'm also not too concerned either. Listen, they were open, right? The biggest thing about those Kadarius Toney drops is that he was wide open on the field. If you can just figure that out, I'm not too scared. Are you worried about these receiver drops at all? Are you blowing it out to be that big of a deal or not really?
No, you said from 2 perspectives, right? So first of all, Travis Kelce comes back. The second perspective is I'd be more concerned if these receivers couldn't get separation.
Mm-hmm.
They were getting separation. They were just dropping balls. And frankly, like dropping wide open balls, there's a little bit of a fluky factor there. Yeah. High variance, unlucky variance play there. Whereas if they had a team that couldn't get open, then I'd have a little bit more concern. Slow prodding receivers who don't break routes well enough, and then they're always covered. You got to throw the ball perfectly. Again, Kansas City schemes up good plays where receivers are wide open. And if they get the ball in their hands, Tony's just very explosive. He's got to put some glue on those hands, get the ball, and then do some magic, the human joystick.
Exactly. And whenever I think of players who are wide open and drop balls, I think back to Jamar Chase's rookie year in the preseason when he dropped 4 balls. Everyone was making a big deal about it. And then look what became of Jamar Chase, right? So don't overreact to these small things. And also, Kadarius Toney didn't even have a preseason. So no camp, no preseason, nursing an injury the entire time. So I'm not too worried about that. Anyways, thank you so much for joining me today, George. You can find George here on the Forward Progress YouTube channel every Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, going through props, recapping games on the Monday, Tuesday show. And my favorite is that Tuesday show where you're with Sharp Clark and you guys dig through the film to see what the box score isn't telling us. So for George, for myself, this has been Forward Progress right here on the Hammer Betting Network presented by Pinnacle. Good luck with your bets.